The following is a project of our nonprofit newsroom. Support Midcoast Morning and local community-centered journalism today by signing up to be a monthly sustaining donor at chly.ca/donate. It doesn't take much money to support local news.
Hello and welcome to Midcoast Morning. I'm Joe Pugh. Financial troubles at Vancouver Island University could mean the end of the school's music programs. The VIU Senate's Planning and Priorities Committee voted to approve a proposal to phase out the Bachelor of Music program and to cancel a jazz diploma program that was set to launch in September. The proposal will still need to be approved by the Vancouver Island University Senate next month and then by the school's Board of Governors for the programs to be cancelled. VIU faces a deficit of more than $20 million this year. In a November article, Mike Quinn, VIU provost and vice president academic, attributed the deficit to a steep decrease in enrollments following the pandemic at the same time as inflation rose quickly. Quinn wrote that enrollments have still not returned to pre-pandemic levels, while the costs of running the university for a significantly smaller number of students have gone up. In October, the school released a deficit mitigation strategy, planning to return to balanced budgets by the 2026-27 school year. Other programs are facing potential cancellation, including a diploma program in integrated engineering technology and a master's degree in geographic information systems. The major in economics option at the school was recently suspended as well. The Bachelors of Music program had already been suspended since 2020, meaning that no new students were being accepted. In a statement, the university says there are currently 14 students in the program and that all of them will be fully supported to meet the requirements to graduate with a Bachelor's of Music. VIU had also planned to launch a new jazz diploma program in September. It says that the new program had fewer than 10 applications. Sasha Kerbler is chair of the music department at Vancouver Island University. She's concerned about the potential cancellation of the program. What do you think stands out about the music program in particular that you feel it is something that needs to continue at the university?
Well, the music program, so this is what I have been told. I've been in NIME only 23 years and teaching at the university, I think about 17, something like that. And so my understanding is that the music department was basically formed in 1969 when the Malaspina College was just starting, and it was still running in a hospital building that doesn't even exist in downtown anymore. Then it moved to the campus, and in 1978, a jazz diploma started to run in the department, organized by professors who were hired at the time. The degree itself, so this is the Bachelor of Music in Jazz Studies degree. This is one of two in the province. The other one is at the Capilano. That one started to run in 2006. And then after the 2011 strike, we were constantly facing cuts. Music was constantly facing cuts. And so they started in 2012. Certain decisions were made to reduce the intake of students. Then for the past 3 years, we were not allowed to take any students in at all. And now we're left with 13 graduates who will be finishing the Bachelor of Music in Jazz Studies degree at the end of this semester. And that is basically it. Although a new diploma was proposed and approved by the Senate recently. I think that was either in the spring of last year or the fall, due to financial crisis. It was basically decided that this recommendation would be put forward to cancel that as well. So basically all the programs, music programs, would be gone.
In a statement to Czech News, a spokesperson for the university said that enrollment and the costs of the music program identified it as an opportunity for cuts. What can you tell me, maybe given the context of what you just said about enrollment in the music program at VIU?
Well, the enrollment has been pretty much the area that was being restructured, let's put it that way, over and over again. So in 2012, a decision was made to reduce the enrollment to only 32 students, although we already had over 80 in the first year, over 60 in the second, about 40 in the third, and about 25, 26 would graduate. And so when that decision was made to limit it to only 32, then of course that had an impact on how many students were graduating, right? Because there's still always quite a bit of attrition here at VIU. And so in 2021, as a result of what they call summative program assessment, a decision was made to not allow intake of students into the music department for 2 years so that the music department could restructure its program. The department has done that, and still an extension for an extra year of no intake of students was made. So we had no intake for 3 students, so there is no enrollment into the courses that we have offered. And then in the end, the program itself, although it passed certain levels where it was approved, in the end, that was stopped as well. And now the diploma will not be also allowed to launch as of the fall.
So there's been a pattern for a number of years of decisions on kind of the structural side to limit enrollment in the music program already? That's right.
So then, of course, if that's one of the markers to evaluate the program, then, of course, it doesn't look good. You limit the enrollment, then you don't have the enrollment.
To your knowledge, at the time, were there more students applying than could get in?
There were to begin with. So we had to limit it to 32 because that was the decision that was made at the time. But then over the years, the enrollment started to drop as well. I don't know what the reasons were, but we still kind of managed to have about 10, 15 students graduate.
Are there any musical collaborations going on in the community between the school and other members of the community that would be lost out on if the program goes away?
Well, I know that there is a very good connection with the music program and the vault, for instance, simply because at certain times, even one of our courses that had its last fragment. So we have a course that is basically 7 hours of just performing through the week. The last hour of that course, so the combo class was held on Fridays at the vault. That's something that we used to do. Now it's back here on campus. Also, our students performed at the VIU pub. They perform at Queen's in the concerts of the Nanaimo International Jazz Festival. There are lots of our alumni, and there are also some of our teachers, some of our professors performing in their series. The big band at certain times collaborated with the Vancouver Island Symphony, and our students are performing along the symphony performers with Pierre Simard at that time conducting, and so on, so on. Like our relationship with high schools is pretty good. Students from high school bands, many of them ended up studying here before they left town to move on, right, and go beyond the courses and the studies that they could do here as well. So that connection has been very strong. And the department, this is what I'm told, so I wasn't here at that time, the department was, it grew out of the Nanaimo Concert Band, which is apparently one of the oldest concert bands or the earliest established concert bands in the country. And as they were trying to basically train musicians to be able to perform at the concert band, that's why the music department was started. So it really grew out of the need of the community.
We talked about off the top, this is still going through various levels of governance at VIU as a decision. What would you like people to know about the music program?
Well, the music program has been one of those flagships here at university, something that the university has had for a very long time and has been very, very proud of. It is unfortunate that it has come to to such financial crisis coming out of COVID and so on that this kind of decision, I guess, had to come up. At all had to be one on the table, one among many, right, on the table. But so many musicians came out as part of that. So many teachers that we have in the community came as part of that program that it's, in a way, too sad to have it seen potentially gone. From the community. I think that it defined this community, that it defined even its happiness, that it made some dreams come true. And so from that point, it's really unfortunate that we have come this far.
Are you hopeful at this moment? Do you have a sense of which way things are going to go?
I don't have a sense of how things are really going to go. I'm hopeful that at the Senate level, that the decision will be reconsidered. And I'm also hopeful that if it passes the Senate, that still the board that is really in charge of this university will make a different decision. In the meantime, our community members, if they would like to, if they feel so inclined, and if they're as concerned about this decision and the impact of this decision as we are, I would invite them to write to the Senate. That is at the Senate. So the address is senate@viu.ca, and they can copy me. My name again is Sasha, Sasha .Kerbler, KOERB, as in Bob, LER, @viu.ca. I'm the chair of music department, and we will see what we can do as a community.
Sasha Kerbler is chair of the music department at Vancouver Island University. The school's music programs are currently being considered for cancellation amidst financial challenges being experienced by VIU.
Midcoast Morning is made possible by the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radio Meters program and listeners like you. Support Midcoast Morning and CHLY's nonprofit newsroom today by becoming a sustaining donor at chly.ca/donate. Local news can't survive without your support. Another way to help us out is to share this show with your friends and tell them why they should support us. Finally, if you're listening to the podcast edition of Midcoast Morning, go and give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast feed you use. It helps people find us.
The music program at Vancouver Island University is facing potential cancellation as the school works to address financial difficulties. Music has been taught since the institution's inception in 1969. Longtime Nanaimo music teacher Brian Stovall helped get the program off the ground that year.
My name's Brian Stovall, and I've been involved with music in Nanaimo since 1962, and I was a band teacher, and I ended up my career by teaching at VIU University in the music department. Now I'm retired, but still run a big band that contains VIU music students every year. I think we've got 2 or 3 in there right now.
Can you tell me about how music got started at Malaspina College, that's now known as VIU, in 1969?
Yes. There was a gentleman, Dr. Carl Opgard, was asked to be the president of this new junior college. I think they were calling it junior college at the time. And he said that he wanted to make the college representative of the zeitgeist of this community. And he sensed right away that music was certainly very much a part of the zeitgeist. And the reason for that is that the coal mines started here in 1850, and they brought English coal miners to come and work here in the mines. And a lot of these English coal miners were musicians who played in the concert bands back home, the colliery bands. So we had Nanaimo Concert Band formed in 1872. It's still going. So all that music gave the context for what this Dr. Carl Opgard was looking for, and he said, we shall have a music program. So it started out, there were 16 students, I remember, and the dean phoned me. I was teaching band at Wellington Junior Secondary, but he phoned me to see if I could do something with these 16 kids. And so I did, and did it for a year or so. And and at the end of that, he said, could you stay on here and build the program? And I said, well, I've got 15 years into the public school pension. I better not risk it. So I recommended another young man who took over and built it into something that was quite wonderful.
And what did you make when you heard the news that the university is considering canceling, phasing out the music programs?
Oh, just crushingly disappointed. You know, after all the years of the program enhancing the zeitgeist, as Dr. Opgard called it, of this district. I mean, the town is peopled with private music teachers who went through VIU, and they're teaching guitar and trumpet and, you know, all these other instruments and voice. We have a really good voice program and piano. And so, you know, a lot of the fabric of Nanaimo is the music from our alumni who continued, and they're passing it on to the younger generation. And there's a smaller number who are making it as performing musicians, and they're not all Diana Kralls, but they certainly are out there making, you know, a good mark on various aspects of music. I don't remember if Dave Gogo actually attended VIU, but he was sort of hanging around there because we had this interaction among the high schools and the university. And of course, Dave's out there now, one of the top blues men in the country, and there's many others who are known far and wide, and they started out here.
This isn't necessarily a sudden development in that there was a suspension to the Bachelors of Music program in 2020, and that was the second time after a suspension in 2012. What can you tell me about some of those earlier episodes?
Well, I guess they were sort of warnings that, you know, I understand all the artistic reasons for having music, but I also understand that if they don't have bums in seats paying the bills, you know, they can't continue. So for various reasons, the enrollment did decline, and that was, in retrospect, it was a sign of the times, you might say.
If this is the end for music at VIU, what do you think the community loses?
We lose, as I said, the interaction of all those musicians who are out in the community now, passing it on to the kids, passing it on to next generations. And we also would lose, to some extent, the prestige of being known for music probably around the world, at least in North America. And, the city has always got bad raps. In the early days, it was just a grubby little mill town, according to some people who only saw the Harmac smoke and didn't vary off the highway. They were heading for Tofino or somewhere, and they just thought this place was grubby. So there's, a really negative projection of this town, and the music can counter that to some extent. So they'd certainly lose that as well.
Are there any memories of your time in the program that you'd want to share with people?
There has been a jazz festival developed in Nanaimo. They call it the International Jazz Festival. And a number of our better students have had the opportunity to perform at this jazz festival and get their first sort of step up to the professional world. And that was the way it was with Phil Dwyer, who was a young man from Qualicum. At the same time as Diana, he came through, and he played in the jazz band that I had here, and he still says that was really important to him. It was his first step up to the professional world above the high school. So he still remembers that. And Phil is Order of Canada and really well known. So those are highlights.
Is there anything else you think it's important to bring to this conversation today?
I would like to see a lot of the people who have benefited from having the university here take part in a letter writing campaign to inform the powers that be at the university that it would be a dreadful shame and a loss to the community if the program went.
Brian Stovall helped start the music program at what is now known as Vancouver Island University back in 1969. The program is facing cancellation as a result of VIU's financial difficulties. Daniel Sim is a graduate of VIU's music program. Now he's a band teacher in Prince Rupert. That's where I reached him. What did the program mean, do you think, to the community in Nanaimo?
It just brought everybody closer together. During the time at the music program, everybody knows each other very well. It's from first year to fourth year, everybody's in the same building. Everyone's very tight. You all get to play with each other constantly. And if you go into the community, you meet more people, and then some other graduates from VIU have they play in the community as well, and then you get to know them, and it just brings the community together, and it just creates a bigger bond with everybody.
So if the program is ultimately canceled as part of the financial crisis that VIU is in, what do you think we lose?
We lose a big part of music education in Nanaimo. And a lot of people who have gone through the program have gone on to like bigger places, like they're touring Canada, they live like internationally, they're playing internationally. And without that, people wouldn't really know as much about Nanaimo as it is anymore, or not anymore, but there will be fewer and fewer people coming out of Nanaimo who are going to be playing, and Nanaimo, I find, is a bit of a tourist attraction at times as well. And if people go other places, then they might have a harder time getting into the music scene as well. So a place like Vancouver, it's much bigger population. There's more competition for getting into university and also performing as well. Can
you tell me a little bit about the work you're doing now and maybe the role your education played in getting you there?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the band teacher in Prince Rupert, and I'm also the community choir director in Prince Rupert. And this past April, I was the vocal director for our community musical. And every year, the high school puts on a musical. And so I've been the musical director, vocal director for that for the past few years. And without VIU, I wouldn't have been able to do this. So everything that I'm doing right now is directly related to VIU. Everything that I learned at VIU, I'm using in my work.
Is there anything else you'd want folks to know about the music program at VIU, given the news?
It's a fantastic program. I had a great time, and I learned so much. And everybody who went through the program with me, I'm still really good friends with. And without that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Daniel Sim is a graduate of Vancouver Island University's music program. We reached out to VIU for an interview on the subject, but no one was made available. The university provided a statement, information from which was used in the introduction to the program. In addition, when asked specifically about cost savings related to the cancellation, a spokesperson for Vancouver Island University said that VIU is currently evaluating the possibility of continuing to offer courses in music as elective courses, and that cost savings are unknown at this point for this reason. That's our story for the day. Thank you for joining me. I'm Joe Pugh, host and producer of Midcoast Morning. Jesse Woodward is our executive producer, and RB Frew is our technical advisor. You can sign up for CHLY's newsletter at chly.ca/subscribe for updates from our nonprofit newsroom. Our theme song is First One by local Nanaimo band Waste Management. If you have a story you'd like us to cover, email us at news@chly.ca. That's all for now. I'll talk to you on another Midcoast Morning.
Midcoast Morning would not be possible without the funding of the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radio Meters program and listeners like you. Midcoast Morning is a project of CHLY's nonprofit newsroom. Support nonprofit journalism in Nanaimo and on the Salish Sea today by becoming a monthly sustaining donor at $5 or more per month. Support the program at chly.ca/donate. If you're already a supporter, record a voice memo telling others where you're listening from and why they too should support our work. After you're done, you can email it to us. Also, share the podcast with your friends. While Meta is blocking Canadian users from sharing news content on their Facebook feeds, you can still share our podcast directly with your friends via Facebook or Instagram Messenger. Finally, this program acknowledges and gives thanks to the Snuneymuxw First Nation as we broadcast and podcast from their traditional territory. Thanks for listening.